This is a high school algebra lesson in the forms of the line. It's the first part. This one will deal primarily with slope-intercept form. Now you might be thinking, well, there's a line, what is all these forms? Okay, they're just different ways of writing it. Each one of these forms are useful in circumstances, more useful in one circumstance than in another, and so they're handy. We're going to use them. We're going to know all of them so that we'll be good and be able to know how to use it just all the different ways. Now again, being in a different form of the line does not change the line. It still is the same place. When you draw it, you still draw it looking just the same. We're just kind of rearranging the terms in a way that algebraically is fine for the purpose of being able to use it in a different way. The slope-intercept form is useful in certain ways, primarily now because of calculators mostly use that form. Point-slope form is going to be very useful in geometry a whole lot, and in some of the higher maths as well. And the standard form is really the best and easiest if you don't have a calculator. And there are times when you don't, so you need to know it. Okay, so we're going to talk about the different forms of the line. First one we're going to talk about is the slope-intercept form. The slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Let's talk about it just a little bit here. Okay, y is isolated. When the dependent variable is isolated, that's also known as function form. Okay, so we would think of that. We could also write this as f of x equals mx plus b. Okay. Notice that the f of x is just the y. Thinking of it that way, it's another way to think about it, but cut to the chase, yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. Now you might be saying to yourself, there's an f and there's an x and there's nothing in between. Doesn't nothing in between mean we're supposed to multiply? Yeah, usually, but no. Okay, now you're getting into this is your first foray into higher mathematics, and letters aren't going to always be used the same way as they have been before, and so part of your job is to learn how they're being used. And in this case, f is chosen because, it's the first letter of function. This is the function form of the line, and yes, f is the first letter of function, so f gets put there. We read this. The value of the function at x is mx plus b. Okay. For all practical purposes, it doesn't hurt us. We don't use it a whole lot differently than we do if it were y. However, there are some benefits. Say, for example, you wanted to say that the value of, here, let's see. How about in using the equation, which you would otherwise write as y equals 3x minus 1. We can solve that out. We can substitute in for x. So we might choose to substitute in 2. Well, a way that we would do that would show it a little more clearly, if we use the function form, we would have the value of the function at x is 3x minus 1. And we want to know the value when x equals 1. Every place there's an x, and I said when x equals 1, when x equals 2, every place we would find an x, we would put a 2. So the value of the function at 2 equals 3 times 2 minus 1. Or f of 2 equals 5. That's another way to write a point. Another way to write a point. This is the x value, and this is the y value. So it's the same thing as saying the point 2, 5. You say, but I already know how to write a point. Yeah, well, you're going to use math and algebra for all sorts of different things. And different folks are going to want to use it different ways. It's going to be more convenient one way for one discipline than for another. So in algebra, we're kind of setting the table for everybody, learning how to do it the way everybody would want it. Okay, I think you already know, but just to make sure, let's look at the formula itself. Y equals mx plus b. Okay. M means slope. Why it has M, I don't know. I've tried to find that out. Somebody might know, but I looked here and I looked there, and I couldn't find out any good reason why they use the letter M, but everybody uses M, so, get used to it and use it. And then we use B as the y-intercept, which means where the line crosses the y-axis. Since it's a straight line, it will only cross once, unless it happens to be the y-axis. So B is the y-intercept. When this was originally done, it could have been done based on the x-intercept, but whoever it was that started doing it just made it B, and so now everybody makes it B. Okay, so this is the slope-intercept form. And let's work a little bit about it here. Okay, let's look at some problems. Let's say we know that the slope of a line is 2 and the y-intercept is 9. How can we write the formula for it? Well, this one works really nice for it. It's the slope-intercept form. So if you have the slope and you have the intercept, then this is the one that's the easiest to use. Here we're given the slope and the intercept. We just plug it in. The slope is 2. We substitute in 2 for m. The intercept, which remember we call b, is 9 because it said so. So we substitute in where b is, and that's it. You're done. Oh, but miss, aren't I supposed to solve it? Oh, you weren't asked to solve it. You're just asked to write an equation. That's in slope-intercept form. So you're asked to write an equation. You wrote an equation, and you're done. Okay, I've got some here for you to practice with. I want you to do these top ones. Okay, do the top ones first, then we'll do the bottom ones. Okay? So do all the top ones, please. That's the one I just did. Number 3 is the one I just did. So please pause and work them all right there in your cipher. In your cipher, please, work them all, show your work, and then when you're done, unpause and come back and I'll show you the answers. Okay, here's the answers. Check them, see how you're doing. Make sure you're getting it right. Okay, now, if you would please, do the ones here at the bottom. The ones are on the bottom are based on a graph. So on the graph, you're going to just be able to count the slope. It doesn't say the slope is, you got to count it. Remember, slope is rise over run. Let's do this first problem right here, number 10. You look where it intersects it. Oh, it's 0, -4, so that means that the y-intercept is -4, and that's the, remember the 0 is the x value, -4 is the y value. To find out what the y-intercept is, make x 0. That's what we've done here, and it's right there. We know that b, or the y-intercept, I abbreviated, is -4. Okay, you got the slope? Count it. Start where you have the point. Go up a 1, a 2, a 3, and that was up and to the right. A 1 from there. Don't start down here. Go back where you started, where you left off. Count from there. 1, 2, 3, 3 to the right. Okay, so we rose 3 and we ran to the right, positive 3. So that gives us a rise of 3, a run of 3. 3 over 3 simplifies to 1, which is the slope. So we just plug it in. Y equals mx plus b. m is 1, and we don't really have to write it. Can if you want to. And then the intercept is -4, so that's plus, it's plus b, y equals mx plus b. So plus a -4 simplifies to x minus 4. So that would be the solution. If you would, please go ahead and work all these. Pause, 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 pause. Okay, here we go. Here are the answers to those. Check how you're doing. Okay, make sure you're doing fine. Okay. Then let's go to these. Now this one, it doesn't give you as much of a hint as the others. So these are just a half a step harder. So go ahead and do these. I'll work through number 18 with you. Here, number 18. Said the instructions are to write an equation of the line shown. Okay. Since you've got a graph and you got 2 points, just count the rise and the run. You can count either direction, doesn't matter. I happen to start at 2, 0, so that's up 1, over 3 to the right. And I have rise of 1, run of 3, or slope of 1/3. Now notice I could have, if I had wanted to, I could have started here and gone backwards, but I've got the same thing. Look, so here, going from the 3, 3 to the 0, 2, that would be running backwards, or negative, so then the rise over the run would be run backwards, -3, and fall down instead of rising, -1, which of course simplifies to negative divided by negative is a positive, and 3 over 1 simplifies. Oh, I just did that wrong. I'm sorry. The rise was -1 and the run is -3. You got to pay attention when you're doing this. I wasn't paying enough attention. So it simplifies the same. Negative divided by negative is a positive, so that equals 1/3. There we go. Sorry about that. It always hurts to double check yourself. Now, if I had done that, I would have come up with a slope of +3. I'm just talking about how you find your mistakes, how I see I made my mistake. A +3 slope is going to be steep, like this steep. That is not steep. It is shallow. So I messed up. So I figured out what I had done and I fixed it. And you can do the same thing. Okay, now then, the point 0, 2 is labeled. You do know the y-intercept is 0, 2. It's labeled. And so the y-intercept B is 2, and that's how you do it. Okay, please go ahead and finish these out. Pause the playback. Okay, here's the answers. Hopefully you got it. Hopefully I didn't make any mistakes on these like I did on that other one, did I? Okay, so here we go. Okay. Make sure you've got it. Okay? And here endeth the lesson. Stay tuned for part 2.